Alright, what's up guys? It's Noah here, and welcome to this different kind of video. Today I wanted to look back at 2019 and talk about the top 5 explorers of the year. We've done a lot of cool stuff this year. We've done tons of houses, we've done factories, we did a trip to Detroit, we did a trip to Montreal, and all of these were super cool. It was super hard to narrow down just 5 abandoned locations to put on this list. Before this video starts, I want to wish everybody a happy holidays, Merry Christmas, season's greetings, and I want to wish you guys an awesome 2020. So without further ado, let's get started on this top 5 list. At spot number 5, we have the abandoned Party Mansion. This house was located in London, Ontario. It has since been demolished, but it was a super interesting house. It had a toxic green pool. It was known to some people as the Avengers pool, the toxic green pool mansion, but for me, it was the abandoned Party Mansion. After some research, the house had these crazy drug-filled parties. It's that you'd pay like $200-300 a ticket and you would get as much drugs as you wanted for that night, as much alcohol, anything pretty much. They would just party all night long. It was also used for college parties and a bunch of stuff like that. The house is super unique and modern, and it was actually a house that we stumbled upon by accident. We were going to another house that we explored on this channel called the abandoned Nazi house. On the way there, we actually happened upon this house. We saw a development sign on the door, and it just looked super interesting, and we walked to the back, and sure enough, it was this insane abandoned mansion that I'd seen on Facebook probably 2-3 weeks prior. Still accessible, everything like that. We actually didn't hit it that day because we heard some interesting information on the house about the owner getting mad about people being there, but we went for a return visit. It was open, it was in beautiful shape, and it was probably one of the more unique abandoned mansions of this year. You guys seem to have really loved that one. So that'll wrap up this one, and on to number 4. Number 4 had to have been the abandoned Star Wars mansion. That place was one of the most unique abandoned places that I've probably seen in a while. The amount of decay and the amount of value of stuff left in this house was just ridiculous. Power was still on, 100 grand worth of Star Wars stuff. Nothing like I've ever seen before. My good buddy Ethan, he's the one that actually found that house, and he texted me one day and said, "Bro, check this out. You've got to see this mansion. I don't think it's gonna stay open for very long. You need to get down here. We need to go tomorrow." And at first, he was telling me, hey, it's got a lot of Star Wars stuff in it and it's packed to the brim. I thought he was over-exaggerating, but no, I saw this picture, guys, and the next day we went and filmed that video for you. There was so much stuff to go through, I don't even think we scratched the surface on that house. Currently, there's a big bin out front and it's full of contents from the house. Not the Star Wars stuff, but the decay and the falling down drywall and stuff like that and furniture. It seems like it's all being tossed out, so my guess is that within the next 3 months, the house will be cleared out of all the Star Wars stuff, the home will be demolished, and then that'll be it. It'll be nice to see that all that Star Wars stuff actually gets saved and doesn't just sit there and rot for another 10 years. That was definitely one of the coolest things this year, and definitely one of the best time capsule style houses of the year. So, on to number 3. Number 3 was a location that I have wanted to see pretty much since I started urban exploring. One day, my buddy Alan, he messages me on Facebook and says, "Noah, we're doing a trip to Detroit, you need to come." He's like, "I don't care what your plans are, just let's go pretty much, see if you can get there." So we planned this trip. I left home at 4:30 in the morning, met with him at a car park, and then we took his car and drove another 4.5 hours to Detroit. And I called into work that morning. I did not care. Then we crossed the border. One of the first places the first place that we went to was Cooley High School. A lot of you know about Cooley High School. It's the biggest abandoned school in Detroit. Beautiful auditorium, beautiful school just in general. The outside, the facade, everything like that is just stunning. When you're inside there, it's absolutely nuts. The school held 3,200 kids in it. It was one of those places that you see online all the time on Instagram, Facebook, stuff like that, and you never think you're gonna get there yourself, but then I actually was able to fulfill that dream of mine this year. Going to Detroit even was just a dream of mine forever since I started this hobby. Man, that trip just opened my eyes to how much abandoned stuff is in that city. It was absolutely nuts and pretty depressing. It's crazy to see that a whole economy just crashes like that and the whole city's affected. But the school, the auditorium was definitely my favorite part. It was just amazing. It was destroyed in a fire last year, so we did miss the mark on that a bit, but I'm more than happy I even got to see it, and that was definitely number 3 on this list. So on to number 4. No, so on to number 2. So number 2. Number 2 was a house that just happened upon me I was blessed by my friend Jeff. He sent me the address of this house. You'll know it as the 1900s Victorian mansion. We were on the way to our Montreal trip, and this house was somewhere between where I am and Montreal, obviously. So we stopped at this house, and from the outside it's a very moderate, pretty boring looking house, super boarded up, broken windows, everything like that. But you get inside and this place looks like a European manor. It has this insane staircase, 20-foot high ceilings, and just nice pure decay. There's not really graffiti in the house, and it just makes the experience so much better because it's just a truly forgotten home that kids really haven't messed with. Like, I'm not saying that there isn't graffiti in this place, but the fact that they've basically neglected to tag the stairs and the curves on the walls and stuff is what really makes this place beautiful, because you get that natural paint peel, the actual destruction of some kids coming in, and it just makes for beautiful pictures and awesome video, and is probably my favorite location on that Montreal trip that we did. Montreal was really cool, but guys, here's another problem we're having with Montreal driving. Every exit that we need to take is closed. We have to take a detour.
Exit 62.
We can't! We can't do it! It doesn't work! It's closed! That house specifically was one of the first things we did, and it was definitely worth it. Even just driving up that far just to see that house, I would do it again in a heartbeat. So the Victoria Mansion apparently was also used as a brothel at one point. I don't know if that's true. I don't know if that was just for clickbait, but the house doesn't need clickbait. It was a beautiful home, and all of you seem to have seen that and really enjoyed it. So, on to number 1. Number 1, without any question or doubt in my mind, had to have been the abandoned log mansion in the woods. This house was something that I saw online, and I just knew that I needed to go there. I love log mansions, and this house is literally everything I want in an abandoned place. It's got amazing woodwork. It's super unique. It's, I guess a mansion is something that we look for, but I've never once ever in 5 years of exploring seen anything like this place. So when it came across the radar, I think everybody that knew or did abandoned stuff, they were looking for this house. They wanted to see this place, they wanted to explore it, and at this point, a few people definitely have. Most of the really known abandoned explorers in Ontario, they've done it. It was a house for me that I just wanted to see, and it ended up being my most popular video. It's absolutely nuts to think that a video that I was gonna make regardless, 1 million people have watched. Positive, negative comments, doesn't matter. All the support, all the love, all the hate, it's been a crazy experience to see. Just to give some update on that actual house itself, I ended up getting in contact with one of the previous owners of the mansion. Apparently that the person that owned it built it by hand, chose all the logs, designed it, and then now it seems like they've retired. They sold the home off to the developers. The developer wants to knock down the house. I'm not sure if they're going to repurpose it, not sure if they're going to disassemble it, but the house will be taken down at some point, and they're going to put a ton of townhouses. They could move it, but at this point it's so messed up. It's been ransacked by the local kids. They've started to graffiti it. They've ripped out all the beautiful railing. They've destroyed a lot of the woodwork. The logs obviously are in okay shape, but it's just gonna take one kid to light that place on fire, and it's gone forever. So I'm super glad I was able to actually explore it before a lot of the initial vandalism happened. it's such a cool place. It's something I wish that everybody could experience, but if I ended up giving it out to every person that wanted it, we'd have about 700 people at this house. It would be nuts. I'm sure that the place would have been gone by now. It's one of those weird places that a lot of abandoned places, they get boarded up, they get secured, and somebody checks on them eventually. But this house, it's just sitting there, nobody's taking care of it, and it's an absolute shame. But there's not much we can do about it, but at least we have it documented, so it'll be remembered forever. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. 2019 was an awesome year for me. We had lots of good explorers, very minimal issues exploring. Only ran into cops twice, and both times super nice guys. The channel has grown substantially. We started at, I think, 800 at the starting of the year, and we are at 14,300 at this point. Absolutely nuts, and thank you so much for watching. Thank you for all the likes. Thank you for commenting, sharing the videos. Even if it's positive, negative, constructive feedback, everything's appreciated. I hope you guys have an amazing Christmas. Happy holidays to everybody, and I will see you in 2020.